My dad did something unforgivable because I refused to take the fall from my sister's drunk driving. I was standing in my tiny kitchen eating cold fried rice straight from the plastic container when my dad called. It was a regular Tuesday. Work had been boring. My back hurt from sitting too long, and I was half watching some YouTube video on my laptop while scrolling my phone. Nothing dramatic, nothing intense. Then my phone lit up with his name. My dad is not a "how are you" kind of person. If he calls, it either means someone died or he wants something. There is nothing in between. I wiped my hand on a dish towel and answered. "Yeah," I said. "Where are you?" His voice was clipped. No greeting. "At home. Why, we need you down here, tonight." I glanced at the clock. It was a little after 8. My parents live almost 2 hours away. "What happened?" I asked. He let out a long, annoyed breath. "Your sister fucked up. Your mother is a wreck. Just get in the car and come. I am not doing this over the phone." "I'm not driving for 2 hours blind," I said. "What did she do?" "Ethan," his voice sharpened. "Get in. The car." Then he hung up. I stood there for a second, staring at my phone, the YouTube video still playing in the background like nothing had changed. My first instinct was to call back and demand more information. My second instinct was to ignore it completely. Instead, I put the rice back in the fridge, shut my laptop, grabbed my keys, and went. It was muscle memory at that point. He said jump, I drove. The highway was mostly empty. Streetlights, dark sky, long stretches of nothing. I tried to guess what she fucked up meant this time. My sister Chloe has a long history of bad decisions. Growing up, I watched her blow off responsibilities, pick fights, lie, and somehow always land on her feet. Not because she was smart, but because my parents made sure her falls were padded. When we were kids, she broke neighbor stuff, and I got lectured about being a bad influence. In high school, she cheated on a test, blamed me for giving her the answers wrong on purpose, and my parents made me apologize to her. Little things like that add up. You start to understand the rules of the house without anyone ever saying them out loud. Chloe is the priority. You are the backup plan. By the time I turned into their neighborhood, my jaw hurt from clenching. Their house looked the same as always. Same porch light, same ugly garden gnome, same cracked driveway I used to ride my bike on. I parked on the street and walked up the path. My mom opened the door before I knocked.
She looked tired, eyes red like she'd been crying, and then tried to pretend she hadn't. "Hi, honey," she said. "Come in." The living room looked exactly the same too. Beige couch that sagged in the middle, coffee table with ring stains, family photos on the walls. It was like stepping into a time capsule. Chloe was curled up on the couch in a blanket. Her mascara was smeared, but she didn't look broken, more like pissed off and embarrassed. My dad stood near the TV with his arms crossed. He gave me a tight nod. Not warm, not grateful, just a nod. I stayed near the doorway. "All right," I said. "What's going on?" Dad jerked his chin at Chloe. "Tell him." She swallowed and picked at a loose thread on the blanket. "I got into an accident," she said. My mom jumped in. "She's okay. She's fine. She's not hurt." "What kind of accident?" I asked. Dad answered. "She hit Williams Hardware." I blinked. "The hardware store on Main." He nodded, straight into the front. In my head, I could see it. The big glass windows full of lawn chairs and rakes. I'd walked past that store my entire childhood. "Were they open?" I asked. "Was anyone inside?" "No one was hurt," he said. "They were closed." "That is not the point." "Kind of feels like part of the point," I said. Dad ignored that. "They ran the plates and the police came here." She was hysterical and didn't tell him anything. Then they breathalyzed her. My eyes went back to Chloe. How bad? She kept looking at the blanket. "Over," she murmured. "How far over?" I asked. Dad cut in. "Over is over. They're talking DUI, property damage. There will be charges, court dates, fines, maybe license suspension. There's no evidence she was the one driving, though." My mom put her hands over her face for a second, then dropped them. "We cannot let this ruin her life," she said softly. There it was, the script. I took a breath. "Okay, so why am I here?" My dad looked right at me, like what he was about to say made perfect logical sense. "Because you were going to say you were driving." I just stared at him. "I'm sorry, what?" "You will tell them you were behind the wheel," he said. "You have a clean record. You were not drunk. They will go easier on you. Will not follow you like it would follow her." "That's not how this works," I said. "And I wasn't even in town. I was in my apartment, 2 hours away. People saw me. I have timestamps, emails, cameras in my building." "You could say you came in for the weekend," he said. "Say you surprised your mother. You took Chloe out and you were driving home. We can make the timeline work." "We," I repeated. "You mean me, standing in front of a judge, lying?" My mom leaned forward. "Ethan, sweetheart, listen. She could lose everything. Her job, her license, her chances at anything. We are talking about one mistake. One mistake can kill someone," I said. "She's lucky it was a building." Chloe finally looked up, eyes shining. "I get it, okay? I messed up. I already feel like shit. I thought you of all people would understand." I stared at her. "Understand what? That you got drunk, decided you were fine to drive, smashed into a small business, and now you're scared to deal with it?" Tears spilled over her eyes. You are supposed to protect me. You are my brother. And I've protected you, I said, more times than you even remember. Every time you screwed something up, I either covered, calmed them down, or took part of the blame. This is not forgetting to water a plant. This is you committing a crime, my dad cut in. We are past that. This is not about whose fault it is. This is about family. Families take hits for each other when they have to. Lying to the police is not some small hit, I said. It is a crime, with real consequences. You're asking me to trade places with her. You do not have family to support, he said. You are single. You rent. You can handle a record more than she can. So because I don't have kids and a mortgage, my life is worth less, I asked. That is not what I said, he snapped. It is exactly what you meant, I said. My mom's voice trembled. We are asking you to help. She is not built for this. She is not built for this because you never let her be, I said. Every time she did something, you protected her, and now you want me to be your shield. Chloe's expression hardened through the tears. You're making this all about you? I'm scared. They're going to drag me in court and tear my life apart. You're acting like I did it on purpose. You did get in the car. I said, you did turn the key. Nobody forced you. You're being cruel, she snapped. No, I said. I am finally being honest. I say, my dad took a step closer. You were out of line. I'm not, I said. I'm the only person in this room even acknowledging reality. His voice flattened. If you walk out of here without agreeing to help your sister, you can forget about this family. Do you understand me? My mom closed her eyes. She didn't say it, but she didn't disagree. That line did something to me. It was like someone finally turned on a light in a room I'd been stumbling around in for years. All the times they told me to be the bigger person. All the times they told me to let it go for the sake of the family. All the times Chloe got covered and I got character lectures. It all pointed to this. You're really willing to throw me away because I won't lie to the cops for her? I asked. My dad didn't even blink. We're not throwing you away. You're choosing to turn your back on your sister. I'm choosing not to go to court for something I did not do. I said, if that makes me disposable to you, that says everything I need to know. My mom whispered, Ethan, please think about this. I'm thinking, I said. I have thought about this my whole life. I just didn't have the words for it. You do not see me as a son. You see me as a tool, a backup plan, someone who can handle things so she never has to. Chloe scoffed. You're so dramatic. Families cover for each other. You're acting like someone asked you to donate a kidney. You didn't ask, I said. You demanded. My dad pointed toward the door. If you are not going to help, then get out of my house. My chest felt tight, but my voice came out steady. Fine. I looked at my mom. I love you, but I'm not doing this. She opened her mouth, closed it, then said nothing. I looked at Chloe. I hope one day you understand what you actually did here. Not the crash. This. Then I turned and walked out. Nobody ran after me. Nobody called my name. Nobody said wait. I stepped out onto the porch, and the air felt heavier than when I walked in. The street was quiet. A dog barked somewhere down the block. It was such a normal night that it almost felt wrong. On the drive back, my phone buzzed once with a notification. At a red light, I glanced at it. My cousin texted, heard some shit went down. You good? I typed, erased, typed again, then finally sent. I said no to something I should never have been asked to do. That apparently means I'm the villain now. He replied pretty fast. Your dad is already telling people you abandoned them. I stared at that for a second. Abandoned? That was his version. Not refused to commit fraud, not refused to tank his life, just abandoned. And knowing my fucked up family that loves to kiss his ass, they'll believe him without asking my side of the story. I put the phone face down on the passenger seat and kept driving. By the time I pulled into my apartment parking lot, it had settled in my head. If the condition for being family is destroying yourself for someone else's screw-up, then I was never really family at all. I was just the one they expected to sacrifice. And I had finally refused. The first few days after that were quiet in a way that felt wrong. I kept checking my phone without meaning to, half expecting my mom to call or my dad to scream at me again or Chloe to send some long paragraph. Nothing came. The group chat with my parents and my sister went dead. No good morning, no random links, nothing. It just froze on the last message my dad sent telling me to get in the car. Extended family posts started popping up online, photos of dinners, backyard hangouts, little gatherings. My parents and Chloe were in them. I wasn't. The caption said things like family time and grateful for my people. It stung a little. Not in a deep, devastating way. More like when you bump a bruise you forgot about. At work, I didn't tell anyone. It's hard to drop something that heavy into small talk. How was your weekend? Oh, my family basically offered me up to a legal system and then disowned me when I said no, yours. So I kept it to myself. But the distance did something important. For the first time in my life, there was a wall between me and their expectations. They couldn't call and demand my help with something. They couldn't drag me into drama. They'd cut me off. And as messed up as it sounds, that took pressure off.
I didn't realize how much they sat in the back of my mind until they stepped out. The first few weeks after that felt off, but not in the way I expected. I kept waiting for a follow-up. A rage text, a wall of messages from my mom, along "you broke this family" paragraph from Chloe. Something. Instead, I got nothing. The family group chat went dead. No good morning from my mom. No random memes from Chloe. No last minute "can you help with" from my dad. It was like someone muted a loud TV in the background of my brain. The silence felt weird at first. I'd find myself picking up my phone and then remembering there was nobody to answer to anymore. Work helped. I'd get swallowed by emails, stupid meetings, and office jokes, and for a few hours I almost forgot about all of it. Then one afternoon, maybe 3 weeks after I walked out, everything shifted a little bit. I was in the lobby at work, waiting for the elevator, when the doors opened and this woman walked out with a coffee in her hand and a tote bag that said, "Meetings are just emails in disguise." She bumped my shoulder lightly as she passed. "Sorry," she said, giving a quick smile. "No worries," I replied, stepping aside. The elevator closed, and halfway up I realized she worked on my floor. I'd seen her before in the break room. Black hair and a loose bun, big glasses, always with a notebook and cold coffee. Later that day, I saw her again at the vending machines, staring at the options like she was trying to crack a code. "You know, none of those are actually food, right?" I said. She laughed. "I'm choosing between regret and bigger regret." "Go with the chips," I said. "At least they pretend to be food." She picked the chips. We ended up walking back to the office together. Her name was Mia. She did design work for one of the other departments. We started talking more after that. Quick conversations in the hallway turned into inside jokes. We'd send each other bad memes during long meetings. It was easy in a way I wasn't used to. One evening, we both stayed late. I finished my stuff and saw her still at her desk, rubbing her eyes. "You hungry?" I asked from the doorway. She looked up. "Starving." "There's a place down the street that does decent burgers," I said. "You want to go?" She hesitated for half a second, then smiled. "Yeah, why not?" We walked there talking about random things, favorite movies, worst jobs we'd ever had, stupid things we did as kids. At one point she asked, "So do your parents still do big family dinners and stuff?" I snorted before I could stop myself. "Not with me." She raised an eyebrow. That sounded loaded. "It is," I said. "My family situation is a mess."
"You don't have to get into it," she said. "I was just making conversation."
That was the first sign she was different. Most people hear, "It's complicated," and take it as an invitation to dig. She backed off. We ended up staying at that restaurant for almost 2 hours, talking about everything and nothing. When we left, she said, "We should do this again." "Yeah," I replied, "I'd like that." We did do it again. And again. Dinner turned into movie nights. Texting turned into long calls. It all unfolded slowly. No drama, no games, just two people getting used to having each other around. While that was happening, my old life was still moving without me. My cousin, Liam, was the only one who stayed in touch for real. Not just likes on Instagram, actual messages. He called me one afternoon while I was walking home from the store. "You hear what happened with Chloe's case?" he asked. "No," I said. "I haven't talked to anyone over there." "She took a plea deal," he said. "Some lawyer your dad hired worked out a deal. She pled guilty to a lesser charge. Fines, probation, license suspension, no jail, community service at the community center." "Of course," I said. "And let me guess, he's still acting like the world ended." Liam blew out a breath. "He tells everyone the system is out to get her. Says they only went after her because she's a good person who made one mistake." I stopped at a crosswalk and waited for the light to change. "Anybody mentioned she was drunk and drove into a building?" "Not in front of him," Liam said. "If you do, he loses it." We were quiet for a second. "You talked to my mom at all?" I asked. "Once," he said. She looked tired. She said, "It's been a hard time," then changed the subject. That sounded about right. I thanked him for the update and hung up. It didn't make me feel better or worse. It just confirmed something. They had handled it without me, which meant all that talk about "you're the only one who can help" was bullshit. They weren't asking for help. They were demanding an easier route. A couple months later, things with Mia were solid enough that she invited me to dinner at her parents' place. "You don't have to come if it's too much," she said one day while we were folding laundry. "Too much how?" I asked. "Family stuff," she said. "I know yours is a lot. Mine is loud, but they're good people." I thought about it. The idea of sitting at someone else's family table made my stomach tighten a bit. Old habits, old expectations. "Oh, come," I said. Might as well rip that Band-Aid off at some point. Her parents lived in a small house on a quiet street, the kind with flower pots on the porch, and a wind chime that made soft sounds when the breeze hit it. Her mom opened the door and pulled me into a hug before I finished saying hello. "You must be Ethan, finally," she said. "I've heard your name more than the word deadline this month." Her dad shook my hand with both of his and said, "Good grip, you passed the test." I laughed. That was the test. For now, he said, grinning. Dinner was chaos in the best way. People talking over each other, jokes flying across the table, someone spilling water and everyone laughing. Her younger brother complained about work, and her mom told stories about Mia being a weird kid. At some point, her dad looked at me and said, "You're welcome here anytime." That doesn't depend on her, by the way. We like you now, too. Everyone laughed, but I could tell he meant it. On the drive back, Mia glanced over at me. He got quiet near the end. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "It was nice." She smirked. "You sound surprised." "I am," I said honestly. "I've never sat at a table like that and not felt like I was in the way." She reached over and squeezed my knee. "You weren't in the way. They liked you." "Yeah," I said. "I noticed." A few weeks after that dinner, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was midday. I was at my desk. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something in me said answer it. "Hello? Hi, is this Ethan Smith?" a woman asked. "Yeah." "This is Melissa from Hayes & Carter Law. We handle estate planning for your father, Frank Smith." My stomach tightened. "Okay. I'm calling to inform you that your father has updated his will and associated documents," she said. "You have been removed as a beneficiary. Legally, we're required to notify you of that change." I stared at the law. "Removed," I repeated. "Yes," she said. "Previously, you were listed alongside your sister. That is no longer the case." "When did he change it?" I asked. "About a month ago," she said. "Shortly after. There were some legal matters involving your sister. I'm not at liberty to discuss those, obviously." "Right," I said. She offered to mail me official notice. I gave her my address, thanked her, and hung up. I sat there for a long time, staring at my screen, my spreadsheet completely forgotten. It wasn't that I had been planning my life around some future inheritance. I had never expected much from them. But hearing that he sat down, looked at paperwork with my name on it, and said, "Take him off," that landed differently. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't distance. It was a choice. He couldn't control me, so he cut me out. That night, I told Mia what happened. We were on her couch, a movie playing quietly in the background. I paused it and said, "So my dad made it official. I'm not his son on paper anymore either." She frowned. "What do you mean? He changed his will," I said. "I got a call from some estate lawyer. I'm out. Everything goes to Chloe." "Wow," she said softly. "Did that hurt?" I thought about it. "A little," I said, "but not in the way you'd think. It's not about the money. It's just clear. He didn't just get mad and say something stupid. He followed through in writing." She shifted closer and leaned into me. "Sorry," she said. "That's a shitty thing to do." "Yeah," I said. "It is. So what do you want to do about it?" she asked. "Nothing," I said. "He wanted to hurt me with it. I'm not going to give him the satisfaction." We sat there in silence for a bit. "You know, it doesn't say anything about your worst right," she said quietly. "It says everything about his." I let that sink in. "Yeah," I said. "I'm starting to get that." Around that time, my cousin called again. "Hey," he said. "I don't know if anyone told you, but your dad's been in and out of the hospital, blood pressure, stress, heart stuff." I leaned back on my bed, staring at the ceiling. I didn't know. "He's not doing great," Liam said. "Your mom looks 10 years older. Chloe's still acting like a ghost. She shows up, does the bare minimum, disappears again." "Does she work?" I asked. "Sometimes," he said. "She had that office job for a bit, but she stopped showing up on time and they let her go. Your dad used what was left of some savings and credit lines to help her get back on her feet." "How's that going?" I asked. "Not well," he said. "He's angry all the time, yelling at the TV, at the news, at the judge from her case, at the town, at the bank, at everyone. Everyone but her," I said. "Pretty much," he replied. After we hung up, I lay there for a long time. I didn't feel the urge to rush down and fix anything. I didn't feel the pull to be the bigger person and check on him. That instinct had died in that living room months ago. Instead, I felt something else. Distance. And the longer I stayed away, the more I realized I didn't miss the chaos. I missed the idea of a normal family. But I found glimpses of that with Mia and her people. They asked how I was and actually meant it. They invited me over because they liked me, not because they needed something. They didn't dangle affection like a prize I could win if I proved I was loyal enough. As my dad's health got worse and Chloe's life spun like it always did, my life got boring in the best way. Work, dinners, small fights over stupid things like who left dishes in the sink, making up, weekend plans. It was normal. And normal, after everything, felt like a miracle. I didn't know it yet, but the last time I had spoken to my father was the night he told me to get out of his house. He would go on to make one more choice about me before he died. And for once, I would not be around to clean any of it up. A few months passed before I heard anything else. Life moved forward more than I expected it to. I fell into routines. Work during the week, grocery trips, cleaning on Sundays, movie nights, cooking experiments that mostly tasted like regret. Sometimes Mia and I stayed up late talking about stupid things. Sometimes we just existed in the same room quietly, and somehow that felt just as good. One afternoon, while I was in the break room, grabbing terrible office coffee, my phone buzzed. It was Liam. Call me. That was it. Nothing else. My stomach sank. Not from fear, just from the sense that whatever came next was something final. I stepped outside and called. He answered on the first ring. Hey, he said. His voice sounded softer. So, your dad passed this morning. I leaned against the brick wall outside the building and let the words settle. I didn't cry. I didn't feel my throat close. It didn't hit like a movie moment. It just happened. Like someone reading the weather. Cloudy with a chance of regret. How's my mom? I asked. Not good, he said. She's devastated. She's already planning the funeral. And Chloe? I asked. There was a pause. She's something, he said. She's acting like she lost her best friend and personal bodyguard. Crying one minute, angry the next. Keeps saying nobody understood him except her. That tracked. You going to the funeral? He asked. I stared at the street. Cars passed. A dog barked far away. People were living their lives while my father stopped. I don't think so, I said. That's fair, he replied. Nobody expects you. Correction, I said. They expect me to swallow everything and show up like nothing happened. Okay, he said. Nobody reasonable expects you. We stayed on the phone a bit longer, then hung up. I didn't tell Mia until later that night. We were making dinner pasta, badly, and she noticed I was quieter than usual. What happened? She finally asked. I set the knife down and said, my dad died. She didn't gasp or rush over dramatically. She just stepped closer and asked, how do you feel? I've not thought about it. I don't know, I said. It's not nothing, but it's not grief either. She nodded slowly. Not all losses feel the same. I shrugged. Part of me feels like I should be sadder, but another part of me keeps remembering the last thing he ever said to me was, get out of my house. She put her hand on my back, not pulling, just making contact. You're allowed to feel nothing, she said. You're allowed to feel angry. You're allowed to feel relieved. You don't have to make it neat. So let it be messy and undefined. A week later, the funeral happened. I did go. Nobody called asking if I would. Nobody texted directions. Nobody sent an obituary. That told me everything about where I stood. Life kept moving. But now, without my dad buffering everything, reality started catching up to Chloe. The inheritance hit her fast. The house went in her name. Bank accounts transferred. Retirement funds moved. All of it. Every asset he had ever saved or bragged about landed in her lap. A normal person would have paused and handled it carefully. Chloe wasn't normal. Liam called me a month later. You are not going to believe this, he said. Try me. She started renovations on the house. What kind? The kind where she's ripping out perfectly fine walls because she wants an open concept living room? I sighed. So she's doing that thing where she pretends she's on a home improvement show. Oh yeah, he said. She hired a designer from Instagram who charges stupid money. She ordered marble, new lighting, imported tile. She keeps saying she wants the house to look modern and luxurious. Does she have a plan? I asked. Not even remotely, he said. She started demo before getting permits. I covered my face. Of course she did. 2 weeks later, he called again. Contractors pulled out. He said, why? She wouldn't pay the deposit on time, then demanded changes every day. One guy said she tried giving him exposure instead of full payment. I groaned. Exposure to what? Her bad decisions. Oh, it gets better, he said. She bought a new car. What kind? I asked. Luxury SUV. The kind with payments higher than most people's mortgages. I leaned back on my couch. So she's burning through everything. She's convinced more money will come from somewhere, he said. She keeps saying things like, Dad would want me to live well. I rubbed my eyes. Translation. She thinks the world owes her comfort. Exactly. Then came the part I knew was inevitable. She said something about you, he added. Oh, I said. Let me guess. I abandoned the family. She said you ruined everything, he said. She told people if you had just done one decent thing, Dad wouldn't have been stressed and he might still be alive. I let out a low breath. There it was. The final rewrite. Her accountability-free universe. What did you say? I said, adults make their own decisions and your dad wasn't a fragile flower who died of sadness, he said. Then I left. I actually laughed. Thanks. Months passed, and Chloe dug herself deeper. By the end of the year, the renovations were unfinished, the house value tanked, debt piled up, and she was selling furniture online to declutter, which was code for pay bills. She refused help, because help meant admitting she wasn't in control. My mom lived with her, quietly fading into the background like an extra in her own life. Meanwhile, my life was simple, boring, in the good way. Mia and I eventually moved in together. We cooked badly, improved slowly, argued about stupid things like how many pillows a bed actually needs, and made up easily. Her family still invited me over. Holidays weren't tense, nobody weaponized guilt, nobody expected silence or sacrifice to prove love. It wasn't perfect, it was real. One night I was sitting on the couch across from Mia. She was half asleep, wrapped in a blanket, hair messy, glasses crooked. The TV played quietly. I looked at her, at the home we built. Not fancy, not glamorous, not full of rules or conditions, and it hit me all at once. I didn't need the family I was born into. I needed the family I grew into. My sister burned everything she inherited because she thought entitlement was the same as love. My father cut me out because control mattered more than connection. My mother stayed quiet because keeping the peace mattered more than keeping me. And somehow, losing them gave me room to build something better. I didn't win. I didn't get revenge. I just got free. And peace, even quiet, ordinary peace, is worth more than any inheritance, any approval, or any forced loyalty I used to chase. Some stories end with apologies or reunions. Mine doesn't. I don't need them back. And I don't miss them. Because I didn't walk away from family. I walked away from dysfunction. And now, I finally get to live.